Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where for the last time I get to review Stranger Things. Last night I had the absolute privilege of going to see the finale in theaters, and wow, did I have a whirlwind of emotions leaving there. Now, whether you're a fan of Stranger Things, or you're just here to hear me shit on it because that's what people like to do in today's age, I'm glad that y'all are here because if nothing else, Stranger Things has given me a lot of new friends and faces to talk to, and I've met a lot of people along the way, along this journey over the last 10 years of watching this show, and I couldn't be happier that I met the people that I've met because of this show. Essentially, in this season finale, we finally see the kids, the adults, the teens all go into the Upside Down to face off against Vecna one final time and stop the Upside Down from colliding with our world. I don't want to say too much for people that haven't seen this season yet or seen the finale. I don't want to talk too much about what the Upside Down is or what it's connecting to or what Vecna's overall plans are, but you get the culmination of the last 10 years in this final 2.5 hour episode, or 2 hours and like 15 minutes. And overall, as a whole, I loved it. I cried like three times? Yeah, I cried like 3 times in it. Now, you do get the climactic battle that you're looking for, but a lot of people have been upset with the season leading up to this because it's been a lot of emotional conclusions. The season has been a lot of heart-to-hearts, a lot of one-on-ones, people focusing on each other that we haven't seen focus on each other in a while, and not a lot of action. And this episode doesn't shy away from the emotion either. Forgive me, guys, I'm a little sick today. This episode doesn't shy away from the emotion either. You get a solid 45 minutes of the climactic action part, but the rest of it is a lot more of the emotional payoffs because you got the lead up to the battle where you have a lot of people having heart-to-hearts. One of them, and this might be a minor spoiler for some, but Jonathan and Steve get to have a moment where they talk one-on-one in a way that they haven't gotten to in a very long time. You got moments with Nancy and Mike that you haven't gotten in a while. You got moments with Mike and Will that you haven't gotten, and they give you a lot of payoff with stuff like that, but you also get these really great moments between Hopper and Eleven that I think actually make the episode as special as it is, because at the end of the day, Hopper always gives the best speeches in this show. Think back to when he was writing the letter, and we heard him kind of verbalizing the letter that he was writing, I believe at the end of season 3. There's a lot more of that here, and I thought that it was really effective leading into the final battle. Now, everyone was speculating who was going to die in this season, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that the things that happened, the heartbreaks that happened, were earned. They were smartly written. It has a great emotional payoff. I absolutely loved how this episode ended. I was literally ugly crying during the last like 15 minutes of this film. I just think that it's so hard for so many shows to land the plane as good as they landed it here. Look at Game of Thrones. Look at Lost. There are so many iconic shows that just don't stick the landing and have bad endings, and in a world where it's so hard to satisfy everybody that's been following your journey for 10 years, they effing did it. The Duffer Brothers did it. They gave us such a satisfying conclusion, and when they were closing the page on this story for the last time in the last 10 minutes, forgive me, I was getting really emotional because for those of you who don't know, very long ago, I grew up with my grandmother. She raised me, and when she got sick, she had to move away, and I had to make the decision to kind of stay here in New York and figure it out on my own. I never paid rent for. It was really scary, and right around that happening was when the first season of this show dropped, and I found so much happiness and solace in watching this show because for 10 hours, I was able to kind of just forget all of my worries, and every couple years, no matter what I was going through, a new season of this would drop, and it was just an escape from whatever struggles I was going through in the real world, and I've always kind of leaned on this show as like my escape. So seeing them close this chapter and seeing these kids interact for one last time was really kind of hard on me because it's just been so special for the last 10 years. And say what you will, I mean, I have a guy at my job that I argue with all the time about like logic problems in this show. Like one of his last arguments that we had just a couple days ago was, how does Holly survive getting thrown into a bookshelf by a Demogorgon? She would be bodied, like she'd be destroyed. And it's like, sure, if you're the kind of person that you're gonna go in and nitpick stuff like that, then it is what it is. But for me, this show is really special. I just loved hanging out with these kids. I loved hanging out with the adults, the teens. Steve and Dustin were my favorite part. In a lot of ways, this show is really able to capture the essence of youth and of love and of friendship and a brotherly bond and a sisterly bond really, really, really well because it was coming from the Duffer Brothers' heart and a lot of it was coming from their own childhood, and I thought they captured that essence beautifully. And something about the show, watching it, made me feel almost like I was home, like I was a kid again. It was very nostalgic. I didn't grow up in the 80s. I'm a 90s baby, but while I was growing up, the music from the 80s was still very popular, and so was a lot of the wardrobe, and that carried over really well. And I just think that they did such an excellent job bringing this world to life and making you feel like watching it was like sitting next to a fireplace with your family and like having a dinner. Like, it just felt so warm and inviting, even when there was such awful stuff happening. And they don't shy away from the heart and the heartbreak that comes with growing up as a kid. And it was just such an expertly crafted show, and I don't know if we're ever gonna get anything quite like it again, and it's sad. I'm upset about it. I'm gonna miss this cast of characters a lot. Now, that's not to say that I thought it was perfect, because like everything else, it is really hard to be perfect. I do think the ending battle was a little anticlimactic. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but it was too easy. It was too easy for them. Essentially, everyone was fighting the Mind Flayer while Eleven was fighting Vecna, and the whole time I was like, where are the Demigorgons? Like, there's no big battle leading up to the final battle. Like, you'd think Vecna would have an army of like monsters to protect him surrounding this base that he's like working out of, but they kind of are easily able to just stroll up and start fighting the Mind Flayer while Vecna's inside the Mind Flayer fighting Eleven. And I was kind of just like, okay, we're gonna skip having like an epic showdown of like our kids and teens and adults versus a bunch of like Demigorgons, whatever. But then even fighting Vecna and the Mind Flayer, it's like 5 minutes. Like, they defeat them very fast, and as much as I wished I got more, it was still badass, and it was still a really cool fight scene. And the monster, the Mind Flayer, finally getting to see it face to face with our heroes, it was all really cool. Again, it just happened really fast, and it left me wanting more. But because the show landed the plane so effectively, I was so forgiving of it, because it just piles on an extra 45 minutes of payoff and closure that they wouldn't have been able to fit in 10 minutes if they prolonged the fight sequence for another 45 minutes, and it would have started to feel stale. But yeah, leaving this, I was so satisfied. I couldn't have asked for a better ending. I couldn't have written a better show. This show truly is a once-in-a-generation type show, and I'm sad to see it go, but I loved it. Overall, I give the final season an 8 out of 10, and as a whole, I give the show a perfect 10, not because it's a perfect show, but because just like being a child and childhood and the act of growing up, you grow up with faults, you make mistakes, and you learn from them, and you grow, and this show captured that essence so perfectly that although the show has faults just like children have faults growing up and learning from their mistakes, it's what makes the show as incredible as it is. That feeling of family and finding friendship in the darkest of places, that feeling of fighting just 1 second longer for the person you love. It captured all of that to a T perfectly, and it is my favorite show of the last decade, just behind Breaking Bad. So yeah, guys, I couldn't have asked for a better ending. It was just, in my opinion, so satisfying. But what did you guys think? Have you gotten a chance to see the finale yet? Was it as emotional for you as it was for me? Do you think it captured the essence of childlike wonder and love and friendship as expertly as I feel it did? What say you? It has been an absolute blast getting to talk about this show with all of you fans, all of you haters. Regardless, I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you found my channel, and I hope you stick around to see what other stuff we have down the line that we could talk about. As always, guys, I hope you all had a fantastic 2025. Here's to a great 2026. To all my Stranger Things fans, I love you. I'll catch you later.